Hi there, this is Erin Owens. I'm an associate professor and the history librarian at SHSU. In this brief video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can access the library databases that are available to you to help you find primary sources and how you can best begin searching them. We'll start from the library homepage, which is found at library.shsu.edu or through the Fast Links menu on the university website. Scroll down the page and click on the tab that says Articles and More. This is where you will discover library databases in many disciplines. For the purposes of this video, we're going to click the link that says History to explore the databases which support history research. When the list of history databases opens, examine the menu on the left to see your options. The default page lists the databases where you can search for primary sources. Other options in the menu will connect you to databases where you can find scholarly articles in history, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and historical statistics, video and audio collections, and finally research guides created for specific classes and topics. We are going to explore the default page, looking at historical documents and archives for primary sources. There are several factors to consider when deciding which databases to explore for your research. Many digital historical archives focus on certain time periods, geographical regions, or topics. So you may find an archive which covers the right century for your research, but the wrong country, or the right theme, but the wrong time period. In some cases, a collection may be very broad instead of narrowly focused. So, for example, historical newspaper collections often cover a very long time period and a very broad range of topics. You want to read the title of each database carefully for clues regarding the topic, time period, and geography. For example, if we look at some of the database titles shown here on the page, you can see African American newspapers, 1827 to 1998. You can also roll over the I icon beside a title for more details about the documents you'll find in that database. For the purposes of this video, let's look at the database called ProQuest Historical Newspapers over here. This archive provides access to the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the Austin American Statesman, each one back to its first issue. This is an example of a collection which will address many topics across a long time period, with a fairly broad geographic coverage of the United States and some U.S. commentary on international events as well. Upon entering most any database, you'll see search boxes for entering your search terms, much like you would use in Google. Try to break your research question down into the most important key terms instead of typing in a complete sentence. Depending on the topic, time period, and geography you're researching, you may also need to consider changes in language over time. For example, when the Civil War was actually happening in the United States, it wasn't being called the Civil War. That term might be successful to find scholarly articles written later, but not to find letters, diaries, newspapers, and other primary accounts from the 1860s. In addition to entering keywords in the search boxes, be sure to explore the other options that the database provides on the search page. For example, in this newspaper collection, we can specify whether we do or do not want to find specific kinds of content, such as front page stories, editorials, advertisements, and illustrations. Depending on your research question, this can really help to make your search results more relevant. Publication date is also a useful option in almost every database. If you know you're researching an event that happened in April of 1917, you don't want results from an earlier time that coincidentally contains the same keywords. You also may not want results from 100 years later when people were celebrating the centennial of that event, because such items would no longer be primary sources. So consider carefully whether you would want to find content before, after, or between specific days, months, or years. For this example, let's say I'm researching the Great Depression. By doing some basic Google searches to familiarize myself with when that term came into use, I discovered that President Herbert Hoover referred to the event as a depression, possibly occasionally even a Great Depression, but probably not until 1931 was he using that terminology. Also, previous economic downturns in American history had also been referred to with that same terminology. So I need to be thoughtful about which terms I decide to use in searching, and I should probably limit my dates of interest. I could try depression, limited to 1929, and see what results I get from that. I could also try stock market crash. Now, this crash is also referred to as Black Tuesday nowadays, but that name didn't appear in print until later in time, so it won't turn up in the earliest content. I would probably want to try several variations and several different combinations of search terms and decide which ones get me the most relevant looking results. Your searches will always be an iterative or repeating process of trial and error. Try something, see what you get, adjust, and try again. That does not at all mean that you are doing a bad job of searching. That's just how research works. Keep in mind, too, that keywords are not the only way to discover sources. If I know that the stock market crashed on October 29th of 1929, I don't necessarily need to know what it was called or what words to enter. I could leave the keyword searches blank and simply search for front page news published between the 29th of October and, I don't know, let's say the 5th of November in 1929. Now, I picked that date arbitrarily. You can set however short or long of a window you want. The key is that when something enormous happens, you know the newspapers are going to write about it. And you know it's probably going to be front page news. So we could browse those front page stories rather than searching for keyword matches. Depending on the kind of topic you approach, that may sometimes be your most effective mechanism for finding the content. Now, it's not possible for one short video like this to demonstrate all the databases available or all the search tricks that each database makes possible. I encourage you to explore, experiment, and discover. And when you run into a wall asking, where or how should I search for sources on this research question, then don't hesitate to reach out to the library and ask for help. I'll be here.